Listen, every single one of us has two choices in life. You can waste time watching everybody else, or you can lock in and build yourself. Too many people are addicted to comparing, chasing clout, running their mouths without moving their feet. But the real power, the real growth, comes when you flip the switch and say, I'm focusing on me. You don't have to tell the world your every move. You don't have to announce your grind. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. Because when you're quiet, you're dangerous. When you're quiet, you're studying. When you're quiet, you're preparing. And when it's time to move, no warning is needed. The results speak louder than any speech ever could. Discipline is your weapon. Consistency is your shield. While others are distracted by noise, by trends, by opinions, you're staying locked in on your mission. That's how champions are built. Not by talking about what they're going to do, but by getting up every single day and doing it. Control what you can control. Your effort, your attitude, your grind, that's in your hands. The rest, let it fade into the background. Because when you stop trying to impress the world and start trying to improve yourself, you begin to rise. You begin to level up, and here's the truth. People will doubt you, they'll underestimate you, they'll laugh while you're silent. But when the work is done, when the results hit, when the world finally sees the storm you've been preparing in silence, that's when they'll know. That's when they'll respect it. So focus on yourself, stay silent, and let your results make all the noise. When you wake up in the morning, before your feet even hit the floor, there's already a battle waiting for you. A battle for your focus. Your phone is buzzing. Social media is calling. The world is screaming at you to pay attention to everything and everyone except yourself. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire day watching somebody else live their life instead of living your own. That's the trap. That's the distraction. You see, growth, the kind of growth that changes your life, doesn't happen when you're scrolling through somebody else's highlight reel. Growth doesn't happen when you're comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. Growth happens when you lock in, when you say, I'm done wasting energy on things that don't feed my soul, don't build my mind, don't strengthen my body. Growth happens when you decide that the only competition that matters is the person staring back at you in the mirror. Let me make this crystal clear. Comparison is poison. It will rob you of joy, it will drain your confidence, and it will trick you into believing you're not enough. But here's the truth. You don't need to keep up with anyone else's pace. You don't need to match anyone else's story. Your race is yours. Your timeline is yours. The only thing that matters is whether you're better today than you were yesterday. When you prioritize your growth, you stop asking, what are they doing? And you start asking, what am I doing? That shift changes everything. Instead of obsessing over their wins, you create your own. Instead of being distracted by noise, you focus on your craft. You put in the hours that nobody else sees. You sweat in silence. You sacrifice comfort because you know the reward is worth it. And here's the thing, prioritizing your growth doesn't mean you ignore the world. It means you discipline yourself to put first things first. You read the book instead of watching endless videos. You hit the gym instead of hitting snooze. You invest in your skills instead of wasting energy on gossip and drama. Every choice, every action, every sacrifice becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. It won't be easy. Let's be real, it's going to feel lonely sometimes. While others are out partying, you're grinding. While others are chasing trends, you're chasing mastery. While others are distracted by the spotlight, you're building in the shadows. But remember this, the tallest buildings take the longest to build. Greatness doesn't grow overnight. It requires patience, consistency, and an obsession with progress. So stop worrying about who's ahead of you, who's behind you, or who's watching. Start worrying about whether you're growing, whether you're improving, whether you're building a version of yourself that can handle the success you're chasing. Because the truth is, success without growth is temporary. But growth makes you unstoppable. Growth makes you undeniable. When you prioritize your growth over distractions and comparisons, you claim your power back. You step out of the noise and into your lane. You stop living as a spectator and start living as the main event. And trust me, when you live that way, people notice. Not because you told them, not because you posted about it, but because your results, your energy, your presence become impossible to ignore. So today, make the choice, put yourself first, build your mind, strengthen your body, sharpen your skills, guard your focus, because at the end of the day, you don't rise by watching, you rise by working. You don't grow by comparing, you grow by committing. And if you do that, if you stay locked in on your own growth, I promise you this, one day, the same people who doubted you, the same people you used to compare yourself to, will be looking at you, wondering how you did it. The answer: you focused, you grew, and you never let distraction steal your destiny. In today's world, everybody's talking, everybody's posting, everybody's shouting about what they're going to do, who they're going to be, how big their dreams are. And it's all noise, just endless chatter. But here's the reality: noise doesn't move mountains, noise doesn't change lives, noise doesn't get you across the finish line. Action does. Silence is underrated. People think silence means weakness. They think if you're not announcing every move, you're not moving at all. But let me tell you, silence is where the real power lies. Silence is strategy. Silence is focus. Silence is preparation, because while the world is busy broadcasting, you're busy building. Think about the strongest storms. You don't hear them coming. You don't get a warning. They arrive with force, and they shake everything around them. That's the power of silence. You don't need to tell the world your every plan. You don't need to argue with doubters, respond to critics, or prove yourself with words. You let your results speak. And when your results arrive, they speak louder than anything you could ever say. But here's the challenge: you live in a world addicted to noise. Social media rewards the loudest voices, not the hardest workers. Everyone wants to look successful instead of doing the work to become successful. That's where discipline separates the pretenders from the contenders. When you stay silent, you resist the temptation to seek validation before you've earned it. You stop performing for applause and you start performing for progress. Silence doesn't mean you're invisible. It means you're intentional. It means you're channeling all your energy into building instead of boasting. It means you're less concerned about perception and more committed to execution. And trust me, there is nothing more intimidating than a person who doesn't talk much but moves with purpose. Now, let's get real. Silence is not easy. It takes strength to hold back, to stay disciplined, to resist the urge to prove yourself prematurely. But silence teaches you patience. Silence sharpens your focus. Silence builds resilience because it forces you to trust the process without the crutch of outside validation. When you're silent, you have room to study. You have room to improve. You have room to make mistakes without the world watching. And that's how mastery is born. The best athletes, the best entrepreneurs, the best leaders, they don't broadcast their every step. They vanish into the work. They sacrifice the spotlight now so they can own the stage later. So what does this mean for you? It means the next time you feel the urge to announce your plan, resist it. Let the plan breathe in silence. The next time someone doubts you, don't argue. Outwork them. And the next time you feel overlooked, remind yourself, being underestimated is a gift, because while they're underestimating you, you're over-preparing. And when you finally step out, when you finally reveal what you've been building in silence, the impact will be undeniable. Action over noise, that's the mantra. Anyone can talk. Few can execute. But the ones who execute quietly, consistently, relentlessly, they're the ones who dominate. So stay silent, stay focused, let the world underestimate you, let the noise surround you, and when it's your time, when the results show up, they'll speak so loudly that silence will no longer be misunderstood, it will be respected. Because at the end of the day, talk echoes for a moment, but action echoes forever. Let's talk about discipline and consistency. Two words that don't sound flashy, don't sound glamorous, but they're the foundation of every success story you've ever admired. You can have the biggest dreams in the world, but without discipline, they're just daydreams. You can talk about goals until your voice goes hoarse, but without consistency, they'll never materialize. Discipline is the muscle that pushes you when motivation dies, and make no mistake, motivation will die. Motivation is temporary, it comes and goes. Some mornings you'll wake up fired up, ready to attack the day. But most mornings, you won't feel like it. You'll be tired, distracted, uninspired. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline says, I don't care how you feel, we show up anyway. Discipline is the reason you hit the gym when it's raining. It's the reason you study when your friends are out. It's the reason you keep grinding when the applause fades. But discipline alone is not enough. Discipline gets you started, but consistency keeps you climbing. You don't build greatness in a day. You build it brick by brick, rep by rep, choice by choice. One workout won't transform your body. One book won't change your mind. One bold step won't build your empire. But do it daily, relentlessly, without fail. And suddenly you look back months, years later, and you don't even recognize who you used to be. Consistency is what separates the sprinters from the marathoners. Sprinters look good for a moment. They show up strong for a week, maybe a month, then fade out when the grind gets heavy. Marathoners, they keep moving forward, slow and steady, rain or shine, and eventually the marathoners always win. Because life is not about how fast you start, it's about how long you can keep going. Here's the truth. People will doubt your words, but they can't deny your habits. Talk is cheap, but showing up every single day, that's priceless. You don't have to scream your ambition. You don't have to convince anyone how hard you're working. Let them watch. Let them see the patterns, the habits, the unwavering commitment. That consistency will speak louder than any speech you could ever give. Think about it. Discipline and consistency are what turn ordinary people into legends. The best athletes don't just practice when they feel like it. They practice when they're hurt, when they're tired, when nobody's watching. The most successful entrepreneurs don't just grind when business is booming. They grind through the setbacks, the failures, the rejections. Every great achievement is built on thousands of small, unglamorous, repetitive actions stacked on top of each other. And here's the beautiful part. Discipline and consistency are choices. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. Talent fades if it isn't reinforced. Intelligence means nothing if it's not applied. But discipline, that's in your control. Consistency, that's a decision you make daily. You don't need permission. You just need commitment. So the question is, are you willing to show up when it's hard? Are you willing to stay consistent when progress feels invisible? Are you willing to keep swinging the hammer day after day until the wall finally cracks? Because that's what it takes. Success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do over and over again. At the end of the day, discipline and consistency are louder than any words. You don't need to announce your grind. The results will announce it for you. You don't need to tell the world you're committed. Your daily actions will prove it. So stop waiting for motivation, stop chasing shortcuts, stop looking for applause, build your discipline, live in your consistency, and watch how those two simple principles make you unstoppable, because dreams are built in silence, fueled by discipline, and made unbreakable by consistency. One of the biggest sources of frustration in life is trying to control things that are out of your hands. You can't control what people say about you. You can't control the economy. You can't control the weather, the setbacks, or the curveballs life throws. And yet, most people waste their energy fighting battles they'll never win. They complain, they blame, they stress about things far beyond their reach, and all the while, their own potential sits untouched. But champions, winners, game changers, they live differently. They understand the secret, control the controllables. Elevate yourself by mastering what's already in your hands. That's where your power is. That's where transformation begins. Let's break it down. You can't control whether opportunity knocks, but you can control whether you're prepared when it does. You can't control the criticism that comes your way, but you can control how you respond, whether you let it break you or fuel you. You can't control every circumstance, but you can control your effort, your attitude, your mindset, and your actions. And let me tell you this, those four things, effort, attitude, mindset, action, are the cornerstones of success. They're not glamorous, but they're powerful. When you give 100% effort day after day, you stack progress. When you keep a winning attitude even in tough times, you keep your spirit alive when others quit. When your mindset is focused on growth instead of defeat, you find opportunity where others see obstacles. And when you take consistent action, no matter how small, you build momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. The truth is, life isn't about having perfect conditions. It's about making progress in imperfect ones. The world will never line up perfectly for your dreams. The timing will never feel flawless. If you sit around waiting for circumstances to be ideal, you'll wait forever. But if you focus on what you can control, if you take the first step, if you build discipline in the face of difficulty, that's when you elevate yourself above the noise, above the excuses, above the crowd. Think about the greatest success stories you know. They didn't rise because everything was easy. They rose because when everything around them was chaos, they stayed locked in on what they could do. They kept moving forward when others froze. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. And here's the kicker. When you master controlling what you can control, you become unshakable. Stress doesn't own you anymore. Negativity doesn't steer you anymore. You stop being a victim of circumstances and you start becoming a creator of outcomes. That shift alone can transform your entire life. Now, let's be real. This isn't easy. It's tempting to point fingers, to get bitter, to let life's curveballs knock you off course. But every time you resist that urge, every time you redirect your energy back into your effort, your attitude, your mindset, your action, you level up, you separate yourself, you rise. So the next time something happens that you can't control, pause and ask yourself, what can I control right now? Maybe you can control your response. Maybe you can control your preparation. Maybe you can control your work ethic. Lock into that, own it, build on it. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward excuses. The world rewards results, and results come from people who take responsibility for their lane, who stay focused on what they can do, and who refuse to waste time on what they can't. Control the controllables, and you'll control your destiny. Elevate yourself above distraction, above doubt, above the chaos, because at the end of the day, the difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck, it's focus. And when your focus is locked on what you can control, you become unstoppable. Talk is easy. Anyone can talk about what they want to do. Anyone can post about their dreams, their goals, their future. But at the end of the day, talk is just air. It doesn't build anything. It doesn't move the needle. What moves the needle, what changes lives, what inspires people is results. Results don't lie. Results don't need an introduction. Results don't need an explanation. When you walk into a room and your results speak for you, people listen differently. They pay attention, they respect it, because results are proof, results are evidence, results are the loudest testimony you will ever have. Now, here's the problem. Most people spend more time telling than doing. They want to be seen grinding instead of actually grinding. They want applause before they've even earned it. But inspiration doesn't come from words, it comes from witness. People are inspired when they see you change, when they see you succeed, when they see the discipline, the consistency, the sacrifices pay off. Think about it. If you tell people, I'm going to get in shape, they nod politely. If you tell them again next month, they nod again. But if you show up 6 months later with results written all over your body, leaner, stronger, healthier, you don't need to say a word, they see it, they feel it. That's inspiration. The same is true in every area of life. Don't tell me you're going to build a business. Build it. Don't tell me you're going to level up your life. Level it up. Don't tell me you're going to make a change. Make it. People aren't moved by promises. They're moved by proof. And here's the truth. Results require sacrifice. They require effort, discipline, focus, patience. That's why so few people have them. Because while it's easy to talk, it's hard to stay consistent long enough to create real change. But the very difficulty is what makes results so powerful. When people see what you've built, they know it didn't come cheap. They know it took something special, and that's what inspires them. Not the words, but the work. There's also a deeper level to this. Results don't just inspire others. They build unshakable confidence in you. When you look in the mirror and see proof of your grind, you no longer need validation. You no longer need to convince yourself you can do it because you've already done it. That confidence fuels the next step and the next, and before long, you've built unstoppable momentum, but you can't fake it. You can't shortcut it. Results don't come from pretending, they come from producing. And the beauty is this, you don't have to announce every move, you don't have to shout every step. If you do the work, if you stay consistent, if you keep building in silence, the results will eventually announce you, and they'll do it louder than you ever could. So the challenge is simple. Stop talking, start doing. Stop posting about the grind, live the grind. Stop promising change, commit to change. Let your results carry the weight of your story. Let your results be the reason people believe. Let your results be the reason people say, if they can do it, I can do it. Because words fade. Promises are forgotten, but results live forever. They inspire not because you said you would, but because you proved you could. So stop trying to inspire with noise, inspire with evidence, inspire with action. Inspire with results. That's how you leave a legacy. At the end of the day, everything comes down to this. You are the author of your own story. Nobody else is going to write it for you. Nobody else is going to hand you the life you dream about. You get it by focusing on yourself, staying silent when you need to, grinding with discipline, moving with consistency, controlling what you can control, and proving everything through results. You don't need to chase validation. You don't need to compete with the world. The only competition is the person you were yesterday. The only validation you need is looking at yourself in the mirror and knowing you gave everything you had. So stop watching and start working. Stop talking and start building. Stop doubting and start doing. Because when you do, your life becomes living proof that focus, discipline, silence, control, and results are the ultimate combination. And one day, when people look at you, they won't just hear your words. They'll see your results, they'll feel your presence, and they'll know. This is what it looks like when someone refuses to be distracted, refuses to quit, refuses to settle. So rise up, lock in, take control, build your results, and let the world be inspired, not by what you said, but by what you did.